actually worse than crypto and NFTs combined, and that's not a joke. Fuck AI and fuck Scam Altman. You know what? I have mixed feelings on AI. I saw another video about how shitty AI is today, and like I'm like not like the some of the critiques about AI I'm like fully on board with now that I wasn't. I don't know if some may recall that when AI was first coming around and whispering and it barely worked and it was actually kind of weird and made weird things, like the Will Smith spaghetti is a great example. When the Will Smith spaghetti looked like nightmare fuel, I thought AI was really cool because I was like, you know, I said at the time, if you are an artist and you are beaten by that, that's a skill issue, you know. And I was like, it's probably going to get better, but again, if a computer scanning the internet can beat your prices and beat what you are, skill issue, you know, like the customer need only worry about the end product. They don't need to worry about how they got there. I was wrong in a couple ways. And one of them was AI got way better way too quickly. And secondly, the actual effect on artists of, like, you know, like the competition that AI provides is kind of non-existent. The people who, I'm actually using the term slop correctly now, the people who consume the slop wouldn't be interested in your art anyways. You know what I mean? Like, you're not missing out on a customer because they're watching slop. They have no taste. Or listening to the slop or listening, or you know what I mean. That being said, AI has edge case uses that I don't think ought go away. Like, in a post-dead internet world where the internet just eats itself and self-reference itself down a spiral and no new thoughts or creation is made, it is helpful to navigate it with a machine that sifts through that already, aka, or TLDR, AI's better than Google at Googling shit, right? If I wanted to Google something, people didn't say that's going to lower my cognitive ability because I'm Googling something. But if I want to Google something and I go to Google, I'm going to get 30 ads, and then not the right answer and a Reddit thread that's lying. But if I go to AI and I do the same thing, I will probably get some sources listed and cross-referenced and a basic answer to my question. That's a good use. The second use is art that you're not going to sell that you need to fill a void of some kind, like placeholder art, I guess. Like, not something you're ever going to sell and something you're not ever going to use, but just placeholder shit, right? Good for that. Shouldn't sell a product with placeholder shit, but, like, you know, placeholder shit that's exactly what you kind of had in mind. As long as you don't release that shit, it's good. Hey, Scout, what's poppin'? We're talking about AI. You hopped in right at a spicy moment. It wouldn't have been so bad if it was used as a tool like it was supposed to be, but then it gobbled up 40% of manufacturing possibly, and Ram Cartel took advantage. I see no end inside. That is the other thing. The knock-on effects are worse than the actual effects. Machine learning neural network was better before I even started calling it AI. Correct, Scout. Scout, ding, 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 ding. Scout's on a roll here. Absolutely. AI's a marketing term. We had this shit for years. Correct. Scout's on the right track, because at this point it wasn't a chatbot or image. Yes, exactly. No. Scout, you skipped to the end there a little bit. Oh, see, AI overuse still get shit wrong often that I can't trust. Even the executives of my job who normally gives a fucking AI, I've been saying as much. You still got it. Just like with Google, you got to use your own basic ability. You can't just take what AI says for anything on the internet, AI or not, as gospel. It is often wrong. The knock-on effects are terrible. Computer parts are unaffordable. The stock bubble is getting bigger and bigger, and the bigger it gets, the worse the burst is going to get, because it is a bubble. Everyone knows it's a bubble. Everyone knows what a bubble is, and everyone can see it coming from a mile away. And I think the people, you know, in the financial sector who are pumping this shit either know and are trying to make as much money as fast as possible, or they are stupid. I digress. The other thing, because I said, you know, if your art is outcompeted by AI, that's a skill issue. And that is true, and I stand by that. What I did not foresee happening is real artists making real art and then everyone needing to stroke their chin and being like, is this AI? Because no one trusts shit anymore. And I have heard one too many songs where I'm like, this is a banger, and they're like, it's AI, and I'm like, that's bullshit. You know? That hasn't happened often, because most of the time you can tell. But there was one time when I was like, is this AI? And I never found out. Because it's like, it says there's no AI, and like, you know, it's music sold on Bandcamp, they have a no AI policy. But I'm like, I don't know. It could be AI, but they say it's not. I'll take your word for it. But like someone will like draw a picture, but like everyone's like AI slop, and the guy's like, I actually drew it, and then they'll show like the process and stuff. I make music, and my music is mediocre, and so I don't want people assuming that I'm using AI just because my music's kind of bad. You know, that terrifies me, because like I'm doing it for the fun of creating it. I know I'm not gonna ever see any kind of success with it. My art isn't a grift. I'm doing it for the love of the game. And so if someone's like, I'm gonna be like, pissed off. But you guys have seen my process enough. You know I'm doing it for real, so I'm not too worried about that. One of the cool uses I heard for AI is denoising. I think Blender was trying to implement it for that. Used in tools, it's amazing. Like in music production, you don't use AI to generate a melody, but you have like, again, we didn't call it AI. We just call it a neural network that, might analyze a sample and then suggest an EQ for your sample, Shit like that. Shit that you can't, but also shit like doing that in real time and adjusting the EQ in real time. That's crazy. And it's not even called AI, but like you could argue that's AI because it uses a neural network, In a way, and it's a form of content cruise control. And like cruise control, you still have to steer. Exactly. AI would have been a lot nicer and less problematic. People making it and scrape the entire internet for training and stealing people's art music. Good. I don't think it's stealing. I don't think the AI shit analyzing data is stealing, because the shit it pops back out at you is not that stuff, right? We all signed the shit. We all signed the end user license agreement, the EULAs. We knew our data was being harvested. What for? We didn't know. We all clicked the ASCII buttons, like find the. Not ASCII, what's it called? CAPTCHAs. We all clicked the CAPTCHAs where it's like where we were training AI every time we did a CAPTCHA. We didn't know what we were doing it for, but we signed the UALAs. We knew our data wasn't ours. We knew that as soon as we uploaded our shit to Instagram, it wasn't ours anymore. Like, we knew this. I knew this. I knew once it's on the internet, it's not mine anymore. They're not reproducing your art and claiming it as their own. You know what I mean? That's stealing. Reposting your art and claiming it as their own is stealing. In a world where we use the argument of fair use and remixing something, and then, hey, look, it's its own new thing. It's fair use. It counts. AI completely generating an image from scratch using training data from the whole internet is not stealing. And I think it hurts the arguments against AI and like keeping it where it needs to be and pushing it down, because it's not going away. You have to keep it in its corner. And it makes people look stupid and bad when they use, I'm not saying you're stupid or bad, but I'm saying it makes the argument look bad when we say it's stealing. When it's not, when like we know instinctively what stealing is, and it's not using, like, this is like a technicality at best that it's stealing. If I listen to Beethoven for 30 hours and I write a cool classical piece, I didn't steal from Beethoven. You know what I mean? Like I made my own thing with it. Especially when people have used the amen break and they have literally stolen the amen break for years and like entire genres of music. This is just an example, but like that's a sample. And the sample is so popular, like it is escaped. The guy, I'm sure they make their royalties here and there, but like the guy who played the drums in that thing didn't get a dime from like all of jungle music, Like that's actually stealing, but we don't consider it stealing because you remixed it something. AI, because it's a robot and it learned from what you did and what everyone else did, people want to call it stealing. It's not stealing. And you can't really argue that it is. Like, I am not having my art replaced and taken credit for by the AI. It's making something new that it learned from me and everyone else simultaneously. So no, I don't think that aspect is problematic. I think a lot of the talking points around AI are people just saying something they heard without actually thinking about it. And I think that's the big problem about it. When the backlash for AI started, I was like, oh, this is another virtue signaling thing. And it was, and it is. But just because it's virtue signaling does not mean that there is valid points to be made. But because it's virtue signaling, a lot of the points that are being made are not valid at all. Also worth pointing out that AI helps speed up decompilation of classic games, and even programmers have issues to point out. There's a section to add to this big new developments. Yeah. No, AI has had a lot of good uses and will have good uses. It's not going anywhere, and it's not going anywhere, and half the shit people complain about are like is a non-issue. The environmental impact, I could give a rat's ass. I could give a damn. I give a fuck. My electrical bill was going to go up anyways. They were going to. I could not care less. But they're like, the water in the power. Build a nuclear power plant. Like, are we gonna go nuclear yet? Can we build a nuclear power plant? Like a few of those now that we need the power. Like, because we could like upgrade the entire grid in a major way, and like these data centers won't make a dent. Like, you know, like we is this gonna force us to find real solutions to age-old problems? Because that'd be great if we could. Let's boil that water with better science. And it's also nicer when people run locally for data safety reasons. Yeah, no, AI is not the enemy, right? And people will say AI is the enemy. Like we opened up with, like Scout skipped ahead to the end. It's a neural network, and we've had this for years, right? The generative shit is what's pissing people off. And I will hold on to this theory. I was wrong in some ways in my early AI adoption opinions, but one thing I was not wrong about is a lot of people are bitching because skill issue. Like, you know, like they'll draw an ass piece of art and then be like, no one wants to pay me $120 for the shitty commission, and like when they could just AI something together, you know. And I'm like, yeah, no one's gonna pay $120 for your shitty commission. Like, you know, you're good. Like, you know, your price is way too damn high, and you are not that good. When I have, every time I have released any kind of purchasable or streamable or something I benefited from content, I don't think I used AI for any of it, especially art. Art, I have an art guy, and I use that art guy. His name is Odin, Obi Odang. He makes a webcomic called Bug Saga. He's great. And all of my Infective Collective art, the art from the Discord, all that shit's done by Odin. And I will continue to hire Odin and commission Odin for all my art until he stops responding to my calls. The guy who did this, all of this shit, it was a guy on Fiverr. And he might have used AI, but if he did, you can't tell. I don't think he used AI. I think he did a good job. All this shit looks handcrafted. I don't think he used AI for any of this stuff. If he did it so well that he gets away with it. You know what I mean? I hired a guy on Fiverr for all this shit. I could have used AI for all this shit, but I didn't want to because it would look shitty. It's not because I was like, I'm denying an artist a paycheck. I could give a damn. I want good art, and I'm going to get better art from an artist than a fucking computer. And the knock-on effects of, like, people are going to be like, oh, you use AI. I don't want that shit. I don't want people wagging their finger at me. Fuck. Like, you know, I'll hire the artist. Fuck it. I was neutral before a PC parts cost. Fuck you if you're not rich. Correct. No, that's crazy. Like, I work at a school. You know, someone would be 100 to violate info privacy rules by putting it on the cloud. By the way, I'm more willing to pay you to create music than rely on AI. At least if you know ahead of time or something like that. Exactly. I think when someone actually uses AI to bypass the need to hire creative, everyone can immediately tell and everyone hates that product because it's shitty. By definition, all this stuff is going to be derivative. It's AI scraping the internet for it's going to be derivative. You will be better if you just do it yourself. Or hire someone to do it. I just want AI data centers that aren't being used for tools to go away so I can afford RAM again. I agree to an extent. I get paid very good money to build data centers. Someone said, oh, like I was playing 40K at the game store, and a guy comes up to me and he's like, oh, so you like I was talking about my electrician job. He's like, oh, you're an electrician? How do you feel about the AI and the data centers? Like you know, is Is this affecting your job? Like, are you okay? Like, like he was asking, like, as a matter of concern, like, is this affecting your employment? Is this making it harder for you to get a job or something like that? I'm like, actually, we are one of the people that are benefiting really, like, a lot from data centers going up everywhere. I live within driving distance of the most data center populated place on the planet. I don't live next to all the data centers, but I can drive to where all the data centers are. Like, literally all of them. The most in the world. And the sky isn't filled with smog. You know, rats aren't filling the street. As a matter of fact, it has to be extra clean and the grid has to be extra reliable because that's the internet right there. So, as far as, like, I want the prices for computer parts to go back down, but they're not gonna for a while. I think this might have been an excuse because they're definitely trying to make it harder for people to have computers because computers are kind of... that's why Windows is getting shittier and Mac is getting shittier. And, like, you kind of have to use Linux to get, like, a properly functional computer now. I think it's because, like, they realize computers are powerful and they're kind of, like, trying to wean people off it and go to the closed ecosystem of a smartphone. And, like, they're trying to make things more smartphone dependent. So that way less people actually have desktop computers because you have too much control on a desktop computer and they don't like that. Like, the ones that won't go away are normal data centers continue to expand, but the massive RAM zone shucks. Correct. Like, all 20-second RAM protection was already sold. Yes, I saw that. That's part of the bubble. That's part of the financial bubble stuff that I was talking about. I consider it under that umbrella. That's going to burst. Like, someone is going to be left with a fuck ton of RAM they can't sell at some point. It's inevitable. It has to happen. Mathematically, unless if there's a genius at the helm who, like, knows the exact moment the bubble's gonna burst and sells all the RAM the day before, and we have, like, a whole margin call. Like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Margin Call, but we have a whole margin call situation where someone's like, unload it all now, and then it all goes away. Absolutely. Then we're gonna that's when it's gonna happen. Then they're gonna get away with it. Unless if that happens, unless a margin call happens, like a movie. Someone's going to be left with $1 bajillion of AI. It's going to happen, or not AI, of RAM. It has to happen at some point. Something more is that when the AI by funding pops for real, prices will remain high because the memory needed for data centers can't be used in standard PCs. Correct. I think it's going to get it correct. The data centers aren't going to go anywhere. I don't think the data centers are going to get shut down. As a matter of fact, I think, again, this is being used as an excuse to build more data centers. Here's something that, like, I had to grapple with because... we all like physical media, and when it comes to actually owning media and consuming media, physical media is superior because you have access to it. But you know what's better than physical media? A hard drive, right? Hard drives with redundancy. That's better than a disk. A disk isn't going to last as long as a good hard drive that's being well maintained and multiple of them. That's better, right? Digital is more secure than physical. If we're talking about purely analog, I guess, like, digital is better than analog. The cloud is not as reliably accessible as digital, but digital is better, is more secure than analog as far as keeping records and recording media, art, preservation, all those other noble pursuits. It's better digitally. You know what I mean? Speaking of Linux, I'm using my main desktop now. That's why I'm working with one because I don't want to. I'm not. This is my last Windows PC. I'm going to use this PC for as long as I can because all my music software only runs on PC and Mac. But unless if Windows completely changes as a company, this is going to be my last Windows PC. I ain't getting Windows 11. Fuck that shit. Let's go. I got bad side. Linux is in my future. I know it is. It's coming. It's inevitable. I don't need it right now, so I'm not gonna get it. But, like, yet. But, like, I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna go there. I'm not buying fucking Windows 11 or 12 or whatever comes next. Fuck that shit. So, to recap.
Yo.
I don't like AI as much as I used to, but I think if we're going to properly stem the problems that AI is causing, we need to focus on the actual problem instead of making it a big boogeyman. And the virtue signaling idiots who parrot the same 10 talking points when 7 of the 10 talking points are bullshit it makes everyone look bad. It makes the whole thing look bad. We can agree like in the middle as to like, and it's the kind of person who virtue signals about AI is the kind of person who virtue signals about other things. And so it gets lumped in with those other things, which is really fucking weird. Right? I'm not going to get into the weeds of it, but you all know what I'm saying. It's crazy. I saw a video today that like I was like, this is so close to a good video, but this video pisses me off because you're wrong. And like you almost weren't wrong. But this guy was like trying way too hard to virtue signal instead of actually trying to make a good point. And it's so transparently obvious. And I was like, oh, you're fucking it up. You're fucking it up for all of us. I haven't touched Windows since March 28th, based. But yeah, there's definitely an ulterior motive to keep prices high. Like you said, yes, companies trying to kill physical ownership however they can and realize the PC are the engines of power privacy. Correct. Among other things. I think it's bigger than physical ownership, right? I don't think there's a grand conspiracy to take away my LimeWire download of Hybrid Theory, right? I don't think that's what this is about. I think this is about the means to influence the world, right?
Yo.
The democratization of media and the actual dissemination of real diversity of opinion, right? I'm talking very diplomatically here. I'm choosing my words very carefully. There is a conceited effort to get you to shut the fuck up and get people who might not think within a very limited parameter to shut the fuck up. And when you have a PC with internet access, ultimately they can make you shut the fuck up, but it's hard. It's harder than it needs to be. It's way easier to make you to shut the fuck up if you're in a closed ecosystem. Therefore, they want us dependent on renting. Yes, total control over us. This AI discourse is tainted because it's being used as an attack vector for that end goal. AI discourse is tainted in several ways. I suppose you're right. I think there are bigger problems than my Steam library, right? Like, I like my Steam library, and if I lost it, I'd be upset. But I think this goes deeper than the Steam library, right? And physical ownership of stuff. Yes, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, and this is all part of their evil socialist New World Order is part of that, and that is an aspect. But there are more key factors at play. I mean, there are more fundamental issues that are also being attacked at the same time with the same weapon, and I fear that if we don't accurately destroy the real problem, we're not. It's gonna get worse. Remember saying copy of a DLC map halfway through and randomly went to a rant about how the map was about misogyny. Yes. Okay. So you're in the right neighborhood, right? Oh man, I don't want to get into a tangent, but no matter whether you support the issue or not, one must agree that virtue signaling is not helpful. If you can't, or you deny it's happening, then you can't be reasoned with. It's not helping even the causes you might want to help. It's a pure ego thing. And a lot of people are stroking their egos for a lot of reasons, and the thing they're stroking their egos about has almost nothing to do with the thing they're talking about. And AI is a great example. It's a fantastic example because it's a new enough problem that there isn't a lot of emotional baggage attached to it. And if, again, get emotional about AI, you kind of can't be talked to about anything. You kind of don't meet the intellectual threshold to have a real conversation with. And in which case you might have a lot of very valid opinions that are now going to be discounted with a lot of others because you can't be reasoned with. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anything. Consider and critique your own what's the word? everyone's a liar, including yourself to yourself, right? You have to actually have some isolated, closed brain, internal logical consistency for the things that you actually say and want people to agree with you on. I think everyone can agree on that. Not everyone acts like it. This reminds me of a video I watched about Steven Universe I was agreeing with until the guy suddenly went on a similar rant. He used the word bigot unironically. I couldn't finish watching the video as well. Many such cases. Many such cases. Again, there's 1,000 great ways that we can improve the world. And sometimes you'll be like locked in on somebody, especially if it's like a fucking video essay, and you'll be like, this guy's onto something. And then they'll just say some shit that makes you think, God damn it, you didn't mean any of this. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Like, it's... And there's many such cases. There's a lot of cases. There's entire hysterias built around things that are like, didn't need to be hysterical, right? And people get emotional about things that do not need to have emotion tied to them. Like, the AI example is perfect. We could have a completely dead, mathematically logical, like stone cold analysis of what needs to be done and what's good for people and what isn't. And instead, people are getting like, you don't care about the artist. Like, well, like, calm down. Calm down, and you're stupid. We got problems we got to deal with, and that isn't one of them, right? Like there are actual problems here that we got related to this topic. We actually probably agree more than we disagree, but you are making this about something that it's not about, and that thing is you. This isn't about you. You got emotional here. Let's relax, exhale, think about it. The facade gets revealed exactly. I'll leave with this. I'll stop the rant with this one brief anecdote. When AI was still new, and it was still crazy, and I was like, it was still interesting that you could. I just now remembered what I used AI art for. I've been posting real art on my Instagram and stuff like that I've made. And I think there's like 2 pieces of music on SoundCloud where I just made like a shitty piece of music, and like AI was new, and I just generated an AI piece of art for the music on SoundCloud. I think I've done that twice. I can replace them. I'm not that attached to these pieces of art. Hold on a second. Let's see here. I have used real art too. Like, I've hired real artists. Like, for all the distance stuff, I hired a real artist. Blah blah blah. Nope. Real artist. One. There is one piece of art here. That's Mr. Debingus Returns. For Mr. Debingus Returns, that is an AI generated image. Everything else on my SoundCloud, okay, so I'm safe. It's just one fucking picture. Okay, I could deal with that. I stole some of this art. Is the other thing, right? Like, some of the stuff on my SoundCloud, probably this is privated stuff. But some of this stuff that is privated, I just stole art. That's real. Yeah. Yeah, no, some of this stuff I just stole art, right? Like that, like I actually just stole. Like, I got like a meme picture. Like, for example, no, I did something to that. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on a second. Okay, no, again, there's only one photo that fits into that category, and that is Lecum. Lecum uses a Pepe image instead of a real piece of art. I just took a Pepe image for Lecum. One of my most underrated pieces of music, by the way. Lecum is one of my better. If you ask me, Lecum is one of my better pieces of music. But like, it's still mid. Being one of my better pieces of music still makes it mid. But anywho, I just used a Pepe image for that. So I stole that. Technically speaking, that's stealing art. So, and then so I got that, and then I got one piece of AI art, which is Mr. Debingus Returns.
Yo.
So I'll replace those. Ostensibly, at some point. Not a high priority, but that is definitely something I ought to do. I gotta have fun. Scott, thank you for stopping by. You came by at an interesting time. You came by for the most probably intriguing part. The part without the mice. Bring that up. Okay. Mice.